have been deemed the Candida queen. Is it just me, or does that make you picture me with a crown of yeast microbes around my head? Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mollie Mason. I'm a holistic nutritionist, a gut health expert, and I'm on a mission to help you show up for your brightest life. Today, we're getting a little personal, or more like a lot of personal. I've been sharing a little Candida series here on YouTube. We did 8 sneaky signs of Candida, common causes of Candida. Last week I shared about my 3-step approach to treating Candida, but I realized in all of it, I haven't shared with you my personal Candida story. Why I can get so fired up about this stuff. Woo! I get so fired up about this one. So without giving you every single detail of my life story and medical history, I do want to touch on a high-level view of my own health journey and how I discovered Candida and how it was such an integral part of my healing. We do have to go back to baby Mollie days because I actually do believe that my Candida story and my gut health journey starts way back when. I had chronic ear infections. So I had tubes put in my ears and I had many rounds of antibiotics. If you've watched the previous videos in this series, you understand why overuse of antibiotics could be so dangerous to our gut microbiome. When I did start my period at an abnormally early age, I had horrendous periods and I got put on the pill at the age of 13, which again, if you watch this series, you know that the birth control pill is a common cause and factor into Candida. But during high school, I struggled with weekly, if not daily, headaches and migraines. I also had asthma, which as a competitive runner was not ideal. And of course, I was just given inhalers and told to deal with it. Overall, I looked healthy at the time, but I did really have some of these stubborn chronic issues that once I got to college just got worse. By my sophomore year, I reached a point where my migraines were so bad. So I went home on winter break, I saw a doctor, I explained how bad they were, and I remember so clearly sitting in that little doctor's office with her on the opposite side and her asking me about my experience with these headaches. And she asked me if I take Excedrin, and I explained I take Advil when it gets really bad, but I try not to take medication, and I want to know what to do that's actually going to stop them from happening. So her solution was to take an Excedrin every morning as a preventative measure, and when they got bad, to lay in my dorm room with the lights off, with a cool damp towel across my head, and to shut my eyes. That was one of those turning points in my life where I was sitting there and I just could not believe that that was her response to me. I felt really unheard, and it just hit me like, this is not it. This cannot possibly be it. Not only have you given me no solution, there's got to be a reason for this. I remember walking out of that office with this fire burning inside me saying, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out what is causing this, because clearly it's something. I went home, I dug into research, and it was actually through that process of doing my own research that I discovered over the course of a few weeks that I actually had celiac disease. I had an autoimmune disease, and even though I had absolutely zero digestive issues or digestive signs, all of my chronic conditions that I was struggling with for so long were linked to this. I stopped eating gluten, and quite literally within 2 days, my migraines were gone. I had forgotten what it felt like to not have excruciating pain in my head, and by removing gluten from my diet, within 48 hours, they were gone. My asthma went away. All of these things I was struggling with just disappeared. It was crazy. What that did for me is it lit me up on the idea that nutrition and food as medicine was so powerful. And so I actually went back to school, changed my major to nutrition. If you don't know, celiac disease is an autoimmune disease in which your body attacks your own intestine tissue when you consume gluten. So obviously, this is very tied to gut health, but to be totally honest with you, I was not that knowledgeable of gut health, of Candida, of the microbiome, of any of this stuff at the time. I just removed gluten from my diet, and that was it. For a few years after my celiac diagnosis, I honestly lived pretty symptom-free. I realized, it kind of hit me like, okay, I've been on the birth control pill for 10 years, and I understand that doctors will tell you there's no harm in being on it for extended periods of time, time, but as I was studying hormones and chemicals and toxins, it just hit me like I didn't feel good about the fact that this is something I was taking for 10 years straight. At the time, I was working at the university and I had this amazing opportunity to work on a study abroad trip. As I was preparing for my trip, I realized that they weren't going to give me the next month of my prescription. And so I was like, all right, this is the sign I need. I'm just gonna stop taking it. So the combination of getting off the birth control pill, which wreaked havoc on my hormones. I didn't know at the time that I had undiagnosed endometriosis, which is precisely why I was put on the pill at the age of 13, coinciding with spending a month in Europe consuming way too much sugar and grains and gelato and pasta. Thank you, Italy, your food's amazing. But it was just a bad combination of things for me, and I started feeling bad fast. I started getting perioral dermatitis around my mouth. I was experiencing skin rashes in other places. I slowly started gaining weight to the point where I didn't necessarily realize something was wrong with my body. I just thought that I wasn't eating well enough or working out hard enough. So of course, coming from a diet culture mentality, just thought I had to push myself harder into doing better or doing more or eating cleaner or working out more. But also probably the worst part at the time was I started experiencing depression and anxiety. They were honestly debilitating. I felt really lost. I felt really ashamed. I felt so much shame for gaining weight. I felt so much shame for the anxiety and depression. So almost a year later, I went through a pretty stressful life season. I left my full-time job to pursue entrepreneurship with my husband. Overnight, my whole world changed. It was just this horrible combination of my body like slowly deteriorating over the last year, my hormones wreaking havoc, my gut health being horrendous, to the stress coinciding hardcore in this season, and overnight my body broke. I don't know how else to describe it other than that. Looking back, I can see this slow downfall, but I literally felt like I woke up in a different body. I gained 50 pounds in the course of a few months. One of the worst parts was just my resilience was negative. My cortisol was clearly so high because everything stressed me out. Even going to the store felt hard, and I could hardly stand in the shower. I was so exhausted. I was so broken. I was so broken. My body was broken. I was really struggling. Shortly after that time, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. Once you have an autoimmune disease, you are 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with another. Essentially, what happens with autoimmunity is your body is attacking itself, and often it will just attack what is under stress at that time. I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's because my stress hormones were so horrible. The connection between adrenals and thyroid is so tight, so it is not at all uncommon for this to happen. My autoimmune markers were through the roof. My hormones were bad. My body was not converting my thyroid hormone. So I was producing thyroid hormone, but it was just circulating through my body in this form that cannot be used. So my cells were not getting the energy that they needed. My metabolism was shot. Whew, we're getting bad here. It's like heating up for me, just like thinking back to how bad I felt. Even after getting the Hashimoto's diagnosis and just being told, you're just gonna have to live with this forever. You're just gonna have to be on thyroid medication forever. It's just how your life's gonna be now. I just refused to accept that. I just had this deep knowing that there was more to it and that there was something I could do. And so I went ham. I went crazy on the research. I pulled out all my old nutrition books. I went crazy on all the doctors' podcasts, on listening to everything I could get my hands on reading all the books I could find, on doing all the new research to understand what can I do about this? How can I treat the root cause of these new issues? How can I refuse to live my life like this and actually address the root cause, not just cover it up with a band-aid on the top? And that is when I discovered Candida and the gut microbiome, and the fact that these bacteria inside my gut are controlling my immune system and my hormone regulation and my stress levels. I finally understood that this rash on my face was being caused by the Candida in my gut, and all of these things were so connected. Everything that I've shared with you in this Candida series goes back to that research. I had a notebook. I have it somewhere. It was this size notebook though, and I just went after it with with all the research I could find, all the notes I could take, I was going to attack this by trying to treat my gut and heal my gut and learn what did it take to do that and how could I do that naturally and how could I support my body from the foundation of my gut. I actually went through with a highlighter and I started highlighting the things that I was seeing repeated from every version of different kind of medicine I could find and different doctors preaching different protocols and different things, and I just said, what are the themes here and what are the things that I can take action on? What can I do for myself right now, right here at home? What can I do? That is actually where the Kill the Yeast protocol that I use in my Kill the Yeast program was born. I actually shared at the time on Instagram about the journey I was on and what I was learning and the protocol I was creating for myself, and I sarcastically hashtagged Kill the Yeast, and I said, I'm gonna kill this yeast, I'm gonna get my gut right. And that's where it was born. It truly changed my life. I started experiencing relief very quickly. It completely empowered me in a whole new way to understand that I had power and autonomy over my body, that I didn't have to accept that I was just gonna have to suffer forever. It has evolved to so much more today. What you now know as the Kill the Yeast program, everything that you get when you join the program is so much more than what I knew at the time, but that's where it was born, from that place of my own desperation. And so when you send me messages and explain to me the suffering that you're going through, and especially when you explain the hopelessness that you feel because doctors have dismissed you, because they've told you you're just gonna have to suffer from these things, I feel that in my bones because I've been there. I know how you feel and I don't want that for you. Again, I get so fired up about this because I want you to know there is hope. I want you to hear someone tell you that there is something you could do, that there is a root cause for all of this, and there is simple action you can take. The Kill the Yeast program is simple, it's implementable. It is literally something that you can go home, take action on, and find results from. I am all about empowering you to be your own advocate in your healing journey. You have to be able to declare that you are worthy of a life more than the suffering you're experiencing. You have to believe that there's life on the other side of your pain. My goal is to empower you in that and just to lead you through the process. So the Kill the Yeast program is everything you need to take action on that. Once you decide that, once you believe that, it's everything you need to take action. And that is precisely why I will make a fool of myself shouting this stuff on the rooftop. I will gladly bear the weight of being your Candida queen if it means getting you on the other side of a life that feels better. You deserve that. I want that for you. That's what this is about. So there you go. Told you we'd get a little personal. Honestly, as hard as it is to talk about the deepest pit of my suffering, I'm glad to do it. If it means that you know that there's hope, whether or not you've experienced the same things, I just want you to know that you're not alone. And my story is only one story. There are so many stories of women from around the world who have experienced freedom and relief from a wide range of issues because they've gotten their guts right, because they've addressed the root cause, because they've done the work to actually get at the foundation. And that's where you start. I pray that encouraged you and gave you hope. And if you have any questions, if you want to chat, if you want to come and share your hurt and your pain and your suffering, I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to participate in that with you and encourage you and just give you the pep talk you need to know that you can have more. There is life on the other side. So make sure you like this video if it encouraged you. Also hit the subscribe button so you don't miss more to come. I am so excited to just continue to encourage you, uplift you, and be your cheerleader in your wellness journey on your path to showing up for your brightest life. If you look at the mission of my business, I say I am on a mission to help you break down barriers to abundant living so you can show up for your brightest life. And unfortunately, Candida is a major barrier for lots of us. So that's one that we are glad to knock down. I'm here for you, to support you, to encourage you, and I am always cheering you on. So until next time, bye.